Y'all act like y'all don't know who y'all are, bro. We trying to prevent y'all from basically hating the kid, bro. He is special teams ace. Let him get his bag being a special teams ace.
Yeah, like
bro.
nobody's saying he getting cut tomorrow. Nobody's saying that. We saying that he just and again, like I always feel like I gotta preface this because people just don't be comprehending sometimes. They don't listen.
Do y'all want to see what Will Shipley can do?
I like Will Shipley actually, but nonetheless, different conversation.
Yeah. I don't want to see what he could do.
That's a different Okay,
that's a different type of conversation. And as a matter of fact, I kind of like where you took that.
Been balling, so
listen. To your point, LB, I like where you took that because the reality is, we've beaten this cornerback conversation, down. They understand. They just don't want to understand. So, but you said something really key that I think is a real important topic we got to discuss. And that's the running back room because we don't talk about it enough. We just assume things are going to be what they are, right? But Saquon is coming off of one of his most heaviest workload seasons of his career, probably the heaviest workload he's ever experienced as a football player, right? And I think that running back room, in particular, AJ Dillon and Will Shipley, I think their success is so pivotal to Saquon Barkley's success. I think AJ Dillon and Will Shipley have to be productive backups, have to be productive rotational pieces for Saquon Barkley in this offense if the Eagles' offense is going to do exactly what we expected to do. Because, again, he had almost 500 touches, regular season and playoffs combined, Saquon Barkley in 2024. And his history says guys struggle with that follow-up season. Guys either have less production or completely don't even have good seasons whatsoever. So I think it's going to be important for the Eagles to kind of monitor Saquon Barkley throughout the season. But even more so, AJ Dillon and Will Shipley have to become useful tools, useful players in this offense. I'm curious to know your thoughts about how Will Shipley and AJ Dillon's success coincides with Saquon Barkley's success.
I think it's going to be difficult for Will Shipley because Saquon Barkley is an every down back. You know what I mean? Sometimes they got packages for guys. You got a different running back for third down when it's a passing situation. You can't take Saquon Barkley off the field, bro. You can't take him off the field because Saquon Barkley can pick up a blitz. He can go out for a pass. Saquon Barkley caught like 2 or 3 good touchdown passes last year. And he ran a route like a wide receiver. Saquon Barkley can jump. Saquon Barkley is just a freak of nature. I think more is on the shoulders of AJ Dillon to perform in them pockets when Saquon need a breather. Because if AJ Dillon is performing in a pocket and Saquon come out and AJ rip an 8-yard one, are they gonna feed him again? They rip a 6. Oh, keep him in for the whole series now. Guys have to perform well enough to earn a series, not just a snap when he need a break. So guys really have to, take each opportunity serious when, backing up Saquon Barkley this year. And I think AJ Dillon needs to be a man with his hair on fire every time he get in the game. He big as hell.
Yeah. Someone, what you think?
No, I agree with LB. Yeah. I think AJ Dillon is the most important out of that group when it comes to alleviating Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, them short yardage situations, goal line situations. Like that's where, that running back too could have that biggest impact. And I feel like that's AJ Dillon.
Yeah. I agree. It's one of those situations where, I think, Elba, you kind of touched on it, right? I think down and distance can definitely indicate who sees the field in various situations, like Dillon and Will Shipley. If it's a third and long situation, obviously you want Saquon on the field at all times, right? But if it is a situation where he's not on the football field, I think the situation will probably dictate who you see. But AJ Dillon is definitely the most important one because you need AJ Dillon to kind of absorb some of those hits that Saquon Barkley doesn't have to take. And again, we're talking about a 17-game season and potentially a 20-game season if we're talking about playoffs and we're talking about getting the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. So 20 to 21 games, this is something that we really got to take into account that Saquon Barkley did something otherworldly last year. And I don't expect Saquon Barkley to put up those numbers again. I just don't. But if Saquon Barkley can still be who he is, but maybe AJ Dillon, takes on maybe 100 of those touches that he probably would have had, or 150, however you want to bust it down between him and Will Shipley. I think Saquon Barkley, he's such a crucial part of this offense. You got to find ways to keep him healthy, effective, while also making sure you have a solid 1-2 or maybe a solid 1-2-3 punch with this running back room. This running back room really reminds me of that 2017 running back room when we had LeGarrette Blount, Jihaad, and Corey Clement. You know, I think Will Shipley is that Corey Clement guy. I think Saquon Barkley is that Jihaad type. Obviously, Saquon's better, but, you know, I think you guys get my point. And then LeGarrette Blount and A.J. Dillon, all those power backs. This running back room has a lot of versatility to it. So I think this running back room from a talent perspective is exactly where it's supposed to be. Guys just need to be productive enough to really take some pressure off Saquon, because Kenny Gainwell, in my humble opinion, you know, I spoke about this last year, that there was a stretch in the season where Kenny Gainwell's production was going to be so important, because now we're getting to the final leg of the season. We need Saquon to be ready to go when the playoffs when the playoffs start. And I just never felt like Kenny Gainwell really took on as much of that workload that I would have liked. But I think A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley, they're talented enough and they're versatile enough in their skill set to be able to take some pressure off Saquon, especially coming off of that crazy season he had.
I don't know, man. The more and more I think about it, man, you gotta give him 500 touches again.
He gonna die. He gonna die. What are you talking about?
The more and more I think about it, man. We extended him. You know what I'm saying? He was healthy the whole season. We just want a chip. Saquon Barkley got to get his, bro. I'm not trying to save him. I ain't trying to save him from nothing. He can handle it.
You ain't trying to save nobody.
Specimen. Nope.
I don't know.
I'm trying to win again. He's a physical specimen. I think that the 500 touches, I think, is a little more bloviated, because there were some games where he didn't even really play in the fourth quarter, and guys had opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were some times where guys did get opportunities. But Saquon Barkley, that's the guy that you use to ice the game. You know what I mean? That's the guy you use to ice the game. So it's like kind of like how, I mean, you want to take Saquon Barkley off the field and let Dillon try to ice the game? I don't know.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Situationally, obviously, but this overall workload, like I feel like he needs to have an overall less of a workload, but still in those situational moments.
That's what I think.
Go with Saquon.
He can't get 500 touches again. He just can't. Like, I don't think that's feasible.
I'm with him. I'm with you, Tone.
I think he needs more receiving opportunities. I think some two-back sets can help us out with some more receiving opportunities. But 500 touches, bro, he had one of them seasons, bro. Why would you want to take touches away from a guy who anytime he could touch the ball, it could be a 60-yard house call?
Because that wear and tear, though, like, can he sustain that for another season?
Like, it's never been done before, is what I'm saying. Like it's never been done.
We have to find out, but then we could find out in the worst way.
You can find out in the worst way if you lighten his workload. It's football. No,
I'm saying you don't. You know exactly what I'm trying to say, LB. So you know
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's a normal back. I think he can handle it. I think he's a generational physical specimen. I think he's cut from Derrick Henry, from AP. I think he's cut from a certain.
And what does Derrick Henry average? Touches wise.
I don't know.
Tone on it. Tone said, you know that dude, or you know the lady on Criminal Minds? She be back there with all the computers.
Yeah, you funny, yo.
No,
and another thing.
I need some information. She be like,
another thing too, though. Like Saquon Barkley really wasn't taking no crazy collisions, though.
I'm just saying.
But there were moments of the season where he got nicked up, like that Steelers game. He missed the whole quarter. You know what I'm saying?
I think he felt like on his wrist or something like that.
It was something. I think it was his wrist or his ankle, one or the other. It probably was the wrist.
All I'm saying is, we need to. I'm not saying necessarily be conservative, but at the same time, we need to be mindful. We need to be mindful because that's a lot. That's a lot on the body. Back-to-back seasons.
Give him more breathers, man. Give him more breathers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just give him a little bit. That's why I feel like we got like an A.J. Dillon and like.
And again, we got this offensive line that can protect and block for anybody. Like we've seen, right? There's going to be stretches where you have to, especially if you're blowing a team out, right? If you cooking them, I'm not just going to have Saquon out there just taking on miles, right? You know, if it's a situation where Saquon waves off and hey, I need a breather, hey, AJ Dillon, get in there. And like LB, you said, if AJ Dillon getting 5 yards there, 6 yards, 4 yards, you keep him in at the end of the day. You keep feeding the high hand. I think, again, those 500 touches that he had, well, it was really like 470 or 480 to be exact, but nonetheless, almost 500 touches. I'm not trying to limit his production in terms of how he affects the game. I'm just trying to be.
Saquon Barkley don't even run at practice for the most part, and during the season, he was coming to the facility with Crocs on. He was chilling. He was. Everybody else was working out, except they had like a no running situation for Saquon Barkley, the running back coach. We're just not going to run him, bro. We're not going to make him run.
Yeah,
he's different.
They extended him twice in a year. They gave him so Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry in 2020. So his biggest season, his most productive season was that 2,000-yard season in 2020, where he put up 397 touches in the regular season, and in 2020 he had 21 touches in the playoffs. So they didn't. And again, this speaks to the playoff run, right? The reason Saquon had that many touches because the playoff run went how it went, right? Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry in his 2,000-yard season, they didn't get out the first round, so he ended up having about 415 touches on that season. But I think the overall point is any running back who's eclipsed that 2,000-yard mark, whoever like Eddie George and all those guys, the following season, if not handled correctly, the bottom fell out on those guys. It's not an accident, and it's a consistent trend. Now, granted, none of them
guys had the offensive line we got, nor did they have a running back that could take the pressure off the running game like we got.
You mean Jalen Hurts? You mean quarterback?
Quarterback. Jalen Hurts opens things up. None of these guys had a Jalen Hurts. What's his name was running religiously against 8-man boxes, Derrick Henry. Because Tannehill was not a threat to run the ball. Eddie George, he ran for 2,000. I think he might have had McNair, but McNair wasn't the type of threat that Jalen Hurts is. He was a little more mobile. Terrell Davis ran for 2,000 yards. Who was his quarterback? John Elway, not a threat to run the ball. So the wear and tear is different on some of these guys. Chris Johnson, I don't even know who his quarterback was. You know what I mean? The wear and tear is different on a couple of them guys, man. You literally have to make sure Jalen Hurts don't run the ball too. Saquon wasn't even getting touched on some of these touches till he was down the field 8 yards.
Right.
So I think it's a little different. You got to run Saquon Barkley, bro. You ain't bring him here to you gotta,
hey.
No,
we're not saying don't run him.
No, I get what you're.
We're not trying to run him to the ground.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say.
We're not trying to run him to the ground.
Basically, you ain't trying to get him hurt. I get it.
Or not even just hurt, but
I'm not trying to. Yeah, I'm not trying to abuse
not even
it, right?
Like massive injury or like injury, but we trying to make sure he can be not worn down.
You want him fresh. You want him fresh in December. You want him fresh in December.
Yeah, I want him fresh every month, every week, because he been managed correctly each week.
I just think we got some talented running backs behind him.
I'm not trying to just wear the man to the ground, like.
Yes, and again, I just think we got some talented guys behind him that can really get some work done.
We're not the Giants. We don't have to do that. The Giants did that already.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point about that accident probably speaks more to our point. He got some unfortunate miles from the Giants put on him, right?
Right. That man got a lot of miles on that. He got a lot of miles on him.
Hey, all his life he had to fight.
Right. All his life.
They killed him dead for they let him beat me.
That's why we went and got somebody like. We need to use the pieces that we added.
Yeah, we're gonna use them. The worst beating I think he took was in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs was on his ass. They like
in the Super Bowl. He had like 30 touches for like 90 yards.
That's like the worst beating that he took, but it was necessary.
Yeah, but nonetheless, though, I think overall, we all agree that at the end of the day, Saquon is going to get his. It's just a matter of how it looks, and with the way this offense is constructed. You don't need Saquon to be your end all be all, right? You know, there's so much talent, so much versatility on this offense at quarterback, at receiver, at tight end. You know, like there's so much you can get done. I just want us to be a more dynamic offense by, like LB said, right? Let's utilize some 21 personnel, right? Some 2 running back, 1 tight end sets. Let's get creative with how we deploy Saquon Barkley more in the passing game. Let's take the dynamics of the offense to another level, right? And Jay Johnson, if you're referring to the Super Bowl numbers, 25 touches, 52 yards, pull up the full numbers, right? He also had like 8 catches in the passing game for like 20, 30 something yards. So
don't play with the stat, man.
I'm running my boy to the wheels fall off. The window wide open.
Stat, man.
Hey, if you was going to run to the wheels fall off, don't extend.
Right.
Hey, listen. They extended him many years beyond the original contract. I want that motherfucker to maximize that. I'm sorry. I want all that.
And if you want him to maximize it, he got to continue to be productive.
And nobody got to run the ball. Can't be productive.
And again, 2,000 yards is that's the anomaly, right? Productive is, even if he gets his 1,400 yards rushing, 300 yards receiving, he's still a hella productive running back. It may not be 2,000.
I'm cool with 1,400 yards this year. I'm so cool with that, bro. I am 100% cool with that. If Saquon could get me 1,400 rushing yards this year, and Dillon could get me 580, I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with that. I'm totally content with that.
I'm fine with that, bro. I'm fine with that.